Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have another interesting video. This is actually a comeback, let's say. Christian Aponte from Florida, he sent a 4 Lightning computer for no injection firing a couple of months ago, or a month, almost 2 months ago or so. I will see that in the folder. And now it's back. Well, actually, he contacted me a few times after he received the computer. He said, Mike, I still get no injection, but the cluster is saying that the anti-theft is on or something like that. I said, you know what? It is a very common problem on the fuse battery inside the car, and I tried to guide him. I said, but he keeps, like, Mike, is still not starting. I'm like, it is sometimes very hard to do things over the phone, right? So I can repair your computers, but I cannot repair the car. So I said, yeah, don't worry, send me the instrument cluster, the key, and the computer to test. So I have that here. So I can also tell you that in the process of him sending the cluster here, the lens and the shell, which is this black part, was all broken up. So I actually got a used cluster and I swapped that lens over to here just to make sure it goes back safe. It has a few scratches, but at least it's intact. And the shell, the black part, is like brand new. And I said, no charge, don't worry about it. I just want to make sure that we can, and I can test this properly because I cleaned the cluster. I noticed also that all the screws around the perimeter, they were really rusted. So I'm not sure what is going on in there. And if he has a problem now with the cluster, but we will be doing the test on this one. The computer is an EK01. And let me get into the folder before I take you over to the screen. It says that it's a 2002 F-150 Harley Davidson edition. And he is from Florida. All right, the VIN number is the last digit C87624. Let me just make you all see the scanner. Had to shut the door because one of my dogs is just barking and barking. All right, so what I want to do is just go back to the data, because we're going to most likely lose the communication. So I'm going to see that we are indeed communicating. I'm going to turn the computer off. So you're going to see, because what I want you to see is the anti-theft light. So here in the instrument cluster, I just turned all the ignition and everything off, and I'm going to turn it back on. We can see the theft light on and then theft light off. I'm using his key and his instrument cluster. So is there any problem with the anti-theft? No. Is there any problem on the instrument cluster? No. But he said that he was having issues with the, let me see if I can have still those messages in here, because I don't remember if it was a conversation. Let me just see. This is from June 16. Let me just see, because I've been sending the wire diagrams and I explain them. I have all the information right here. So let me just see what the generic electronic module central junction box. Yeah, the central junction box, that's what is probably most likely giving you the problem, Christian, or the harness. Again, it's impossible for me. This is under the dash near the steering column. And I send them all images. Like, let me just show you an image that I sent him. Yeah, you're watching in there. So let me see if you can see that. Yeah, right there. Where I am in there showing the image of that location of that central junction box. I sent him in wire diagrams, and I tried to to guide him, but he says I will check that tomorrow, and then that's it. He said I did check when when his wife came home. When she turned the key on, the fuel pump turns on. And I tell him, is the fuel pump coming on when the engine is cranking? He said, I will check all wires and fuses and also apply power to the fuse you mentioned, and nothing. I still get the security access denied. You see, this is where I was telling him. He said he was getting security access denied. I even got a friend from 4 and programmed the key, and In a new one, the only possible thing I can see is if the cluster is not sending the OK to the PCM to let the car start. Is there a way to remove the security from it? I don't do that. So I said, I'm sorry, but I don't do that. I can check them. I wonder why the miles won't light up again. So probably from the beginning. Oh, he said, send me the cluster. I wonder why the mileage won't light up. Oh, I haven't noticed that. And he is correct on that. You see, we have no mileage. So this cluster has definitely a problem. Because that should be lighting up. All right, so that's actually, I'm glad I read, because, this is almost a month ago, or not even almost, it's exactly a month ago that we had that conversation. So let's go over to the scanner. I want to go over to the instrument cluster one more time. Yeah, instrument cluster, because that's where the anti-theft is. I'm going to go over to the data display, because this should be no anti-theft disabled right now. Why? Because we have everything is there. So we have, let me just see, master key present, PCM verification, yes. Not sure what the B enable is. Path type coded, enable, start enable is enable. Not sure why they remove all this information, because that's very important. I'm not sure if I can read enable, disable. Yeah, that's not really much help or too helpful in here. So let's run it one more time. I want to see what it says when it's running. Because now we can see that we have a definite issue with the cluster. So I'm going to turn the ignition on. And I'm going to run this is in the high RPM. So yeah, the vehicle is running. Let me change the map just a little bit so we can get a little more injection. Throttle's a little low. But yeah, the vehicle is running good. So I can lower the RPMs now here. You see that it's running at 600 RPMs. And I can read the RPMs in here, but I did get no mileage on the cluster. No mileage, reading as far as the actual count, which should be lighting up in there. So I'm going to keep it running. I want to see what we see on the scanner. Now, again, I don't see pads or anything disabled to start. And he said on that note, I wonder why the mileage won't light up against the power from the beginning. Cool, be in the cluster. Yeah, it's from the beginning. I like the conversations like from customers like, yeah, and maybe it was at the cluster. I'm like, I fix your computer. So that is a little disrespectful to say, But yep, I have a lease, and this is where I always stop a person to go into its mind way, because that's why I record videos before not working and after working. Do you have more problems on the car? Probably. I don't know. I'm not fixing your car. And this is what I separate myself. And I'm always very respectful, and I expect the same from the person. So don't try to tell, oh, maybe that was a problem all along and not a problem with the computer. So you're calling me a thief or a theft, and I'm not. So I am not, and that's why I record the videos. There is no other company in the world that has the transparency and the reputation or integrity that I have, because that's what I do this, because I don't want to have nobody ever doubting that I did a repair on its system. That's what I record the videos. All right, so very important for that. All right, so let's go back into here. I want to see what he was saying about the anti-theft. Sorry, I got a little bit of a rant in there. I'll check the wires. I am still getting the security access denied. You see, security access denied. So I'm wondering where was he getting that, because it could be multiple things. Yes, the cluster is not showing the mileage, but the car is running here. And I'm not, I don't have any fault codes showing any What is it? He said he has security access denied. Code menu. And usually security access is when you're trying to program. I don't see, I have that, like an anti-theft. I can do the self-test, and now you can see I'm doing the self-test for the instrument cluster. It says passive anti-theft system received invalid format key CD. I never seen this before. Invalid format key CD. So let me turn this off 1 second, guys. I have to go over to the actual full probe. Oof. Give me 1 second. All right, guys. So yeah, we got a B1602, which that says that it's not reading the key properly. I know that my transceiver is good. So, and we know that he has a problem. The mileage are not reading. Let me show you the actual full codes, description, and troubleshooting. Let me just get them on the screen for you before I transfer you or move you over to the other screen. Let me take all this out of here. So SUS and full probe out. Perfect. All right, so this is just a description. It says, description, the paths receive an invalid format of a key code from the ignition key transponder, partial key read. So that is telling that either it's a partial, maybe this is a bad key. The troubleshooting flowchart, which is if we go back to here, it says, and here, DTC code by the ICM instrument cluster module, and action go to pinpoint test G. This is pinpoint test G, and we can see all that and go into there. But realistically, all it says in here is to go and get a second key or try to program another key. So we might have a problem in here with a bad instrument cluster. Definitely, this is a problem. But in a search to try to do anything with this, I have my own cluster and my own keys that I know that work all the time, and I don't get that code. So one thing that I want to do, let me just make sure that I set this key properly here. 1 second, guys. Sorry, guys, that was a customer and I needed to take the call. So yeah, what I'm saying right now is I want to erase the codes one more time because that key was a little sideways in there. So let me erase the full codes in here on the, oh, you're not seeing that. So let me make sure that you can see what I'm doing. And let's get the full probe back in here because we're going to run this one more time. So I'm going to clear the codes in the instrument cluster. All right, so let's do memory codes to make sure there is nothing in there. Yeah, just a fuel sender, which is exactly what we should have. Let's do a key on self-test with the vehicle off. So we didn't have the partial read this time. You see the B1202 is the only one that came on this time. So let me run it. Make sure that this is not happening because it's, running. Everything else is lighting up except for the miles. But we'll see. So let me run this one more time. I'm gonna put them into around 600 or so RPM. We can see that is working good, and it's starting every single time. So we got coils in the spark plug, and this is no doubt happening. All right, let me do the test once again with you. So sometimes, let me just see. Key on engine off. That was my error, because that's key on engine off. Self test. So you're not supposed to do this test with the vehicle running. But let's let it run for a little bit. I'm going to turn the ignition off and ignition back on in here. Oops, sorry. And let's read it one more time. Yeah, that was my error because, you got to be careful when you're doing a self-test because there is, and you're going to see on the computer side, you can do a key on engine running test and a key on engine off test, self-test. So this one is key on engine off. So very important to respect that because otherwise you're going to get fault codes that they're not there because you were not supposed to have RPM. All right, so let me go back to the computer because this is not giving us anything. automatic transmission. Let me go over to the key on, engine off, cell test. This should give us, evap and I don't know, the transmission pressure solenoids and some other solenoids fault codes, but nothing on the anti-theft. Wastegate, intercooler, brake, transmission range sensor. Like I said, the TCC, shift solenoids, and all those are normal. Pressure control solenoid, all those are good. The evap, those are, normal. Yeah, I don't see any anti-theft system problem in here. So one thing that I wanted to show you is I'm going to unplug. I'm going to turn this off. 1 second, so we're going to lose communication for a little second. I'm going to keep this cluster here, so no matter what, my cluster is different. And this is a regular instrument cluster for an F-150. You can see there is a different one, but okay, now when I turn the ignition on, you will see that the theft light will start flashing, and that's the normal way of a normal reaction, right? Ignition on, and now you can see a blinking theft light, but we are reading mileage. So whatever problem is in the cluster, they cannot read the mileage, nothing to do with the actual PCM. So we have a cluster that has issues for sure. Right now, you see it has an anti-theft. So if I run this now, and that's what I have the full probe in there, we will get a spark by no injectors. And let me prove you that. You see right there, you get the two coils, but the injectors are not firing. Why? Because we're in the car is not letting the anti-theft system is not letting the injector run, so the car will not start. Why? Because that key doesn't belong to that cluster. So I'm going to turn this 1 second off, ignition back on, and I'm going to go back. And now, if we go into, let's see memory codes and see if the anti-theft is now there. He is doing a test. You see right now we have the P1260. Is anti-theft detected, engine disabled. You see, but engine disabled. So the security access, that is, like I said, reading his notes, security access is when you're trying to program a key over to the instrument cluster. If you cannot get the security access, it's most likely because that cluster is bad. Sorry, I'm answering a text from a customer that's trying to get a TAC module, but he was trying to get a TAC module from a GM car to use it on a boat. That's completely different. The APPs, accelerator pedal, the signals are completely different from the vehicle. It has 3 accelerator pedals in the boat. It has 2 throttle control sensors, and it has a switch in it. So it's a completely, even though they look the same, it's completely different in internals. All right, so let's go back to here. So you can see that we have definitely injection. His cluster is definitely having issues because we cannot read the mileage. And that is a problem. I can, mirror this over to my cluster and make it run, but I don't think I want to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off one more time, and I'm going to put his cluster back in. And I'm almost, 1 second. I'm almost wanted to open completely the cluster and see if we have corrosion inside or what is the problem, because there might be a problem also on this cluster. So let's power it up, and we will now have the TEF light going off because it read now that, oh yeah, that's the correct key. We are indeed a family together. So right now, if I do the memory codes, that fault should be not present. You see, now that fault is gone. No longer anti-theft, no longer nothing. So we are allowed to start. And if I run the full probe, I guarantee you that we're going to get injectors and coils, and we do. So yeah, I don't know what the problem is so far yet, but this cluster, even though when no mileage in there, it is running. I can make it run in here. So you might have another problem in your car, Christian, that I cannot see. Again, I cannot do the diagnostics for you in the car. That I don't know. The way this is, it is firing. I don't have any anti-theft disabling the coils or the injectors, and I prove you that by connecting mine. When I connect mine, we only get a spark plug, spark firing coils, right? But now with yours, we get coils and injectors. And I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to connect the oscilloscope so you can see the signals, and I'm going to connect the real injectors because I want to get rid of all this one time. All right, guys, I'm now in the middle of the process of getting the picoscope in the screen, but actually probably better if I move you over to the actual screen. It's less glitter or less things on the way. So that's an injector signal. I only have one channel on, so we don't need this auto red channel. But look at the injector signal. We can see the minimum and maximum in there. And the maximum is battery voltage, and the minimum is 41.61. So that is pulling the drivers of the injectors all the way down. No doubt about it. You can see the signals. Again, it's a little sometimes hard to show with so many lights in here. Yeah, but you can see. So the blue lights are the coils, and the green lights are the injectors. I'm going to move that to the coil signal. Now I'm in the same one on the coil, and we can see, due to the idle condition, it's almost a multi-strike. So it's a very different, oh, you cannot see. Sorry, guys. Let me put the picoscope in here. I tried to get to show you so much, and sometimes I forget I need to activate the things. All right, so we can see, yeah, that's actually a perfect capture. And there you guys now can see the picoscope with a coil signal, and it looks like almost like a multi-strike because it's on lower RPMs. I can change the time base so we can get to see more of that signal on the screen. Let me move it down so you can see more. But yeah, we can see it is a multi-strike. Do I have a trigger? I don't. Let me make an automatic trigger so we can see that is stop in the capture. But yeah, you can see how it's activating that coil multiple times. And I guarantee you, this is not a problem. We don't have any primary or secondary, but I want to, again, show you that these can run and is activating that injector waveform with the load boxes, right? That's the load boxes. I can connect the real injectors. This is just taking so much time for something that I know is working, completely. And but this is a little funny to see that the cluster is not reading mileage. But I can see the RPM and the car is running. The anti-theft light is off. So that is a problem that is not showing. Maybe, I don't know, the LCD part is bad or whatever is bad in there. But is that preventing the car from starting or not? No, it's not. So yeah, I'm going to have to talk to Christian and see if he wants to repair that cluster, or else I cut myself off from here because all this is for free until here. So I can prove you that your computer is working good. And it should run the way it is. We have injectors and we have coils. And I'm actually going to let me plug the injectors. I'm going to do that. All right, guys, I'm going to do that with you. So what I'm going to do, let me put the full probe in the screen to see which signals are the ones that are shown in there. Because I'm going to disconnect just 4 of the injectors. We don't need to really connect all. I'm going to plug 4 injectors in here. Yeah, that's not one of the signals in there, so not a problem. Yeah, and I can hear it firing. So that is, let me see, where am I connected? Yeah, because I'm connected in there. Yeah, the signal that I was using. Yeah, that's the one I just took off from the oscilloscope, which is okay. I need to get, 1 second, guys, because I need to get an attention. Let me see, because this will be, yeah. So what I want to do is just disconnect this one here. Just too big. Can I see? There it is. Well, there. Yes, it is. 1 second, guys. What I'm doing is just making a jumper so I can connect my oscilloscope in between the signal, but also connect it to a real injector. And I think that's all we really need. I don't need to go into 4 injectors or anything. Right now we have, you can see how it's clipped in there because I'm only in 20 volts. I'm going to go over now into 100 volts. And we can see the complete signal. Now this is a complete injector waveform, and we can see even the pintle. I'm going to change the time base a little bit. But you can see the pintle opening in here. Hopefully you can see the red arrow where I am in there. But this is a completely real injector being commanded open and close. Is this computer firing the injectors? 100%. 100%. Does the cluster needs to be repaired? Yes, it does. Yes, no doubt about it. To correct that, you can read the mileage. Will that correct his issue by not starting? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't think so. Why I said that? You know, when looking at this key, because you know when the car is running, we don't need to really the key there. This key is cracked, Christian. Let me see if it's cracked or not. Yes, it is cracked. So this key is cracked, Christian. You should replace this key. Like I said, once the car starts, you don't need the key because it's already approved. And the only reason I can remove it is because I don't have it, you know, inside an ignition cylinder. If this will be in the car, you cannot remove it unless you turn the car off, right? So this is very unique to this setup. But like I said, you know, everything in here is working as it's supposed to. We can see the injector signal. We can see the injector firing on the full probe. Do I need to keep going with this? I don't really think so. I think that I'm always looking forward to help the customer. Yes, he paid for the repair on the computer. Do you have more problems in the car? 100%. No doubt about it. But I don't know what the problems are. And I cannot fix your car with this. I can fix your cluster. Will that correct the problem in the car? No. Whatever problem you have in the car is definitely something else. Because the way this is running every single time. So I'm going to, again, go over to the full probe. I'm going to turn this off. And you can see how the ignition signal should go out. So you can see that is a live signal. I'm going to turn the ignition back on, and I'm going to run this one more time. Is it firing injectors? 100%. You can see it on the oscilloscope. You can see it on the full probe. Coils and plugs, everything is firing. So I'm sorry, Chris, but I don't know what the problem is. It's not this. This will not prevent your car from starting. It should run, and I don't see a problem with that. Let me see if I have any other thing to do with here. He was saying something. Let me see if we have any. Let me check the wire diagram for the fuel pump relay. All right, in the meantime, what I was doing is getting the wire diagram so you can see how the fuel pump is actually controlled. The fuel pump relay is actually controlled by the computer. I still have everything running. I have not turned anything off. We have this, as you can see, the fuel probe and the injector up in the top. So I'm going to move you over to the screen. So, well, first in here, now you see a light. That is actually the fuel pump relay activation, and it's on. So this is running 100%. Let's go over to the diagram. So let me get the SUS and the fuel probe out of here. Do I have what else in here? SUS? Yeah, SUS and the Pico out. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to use this red box so you can see where I am. This is the command from the computer coming on pin 80. That's where I have the test light on. And it's commanding the relay, the fuel pump relay, K4 fuel pump relay in the battery junction box. That is also going through the inertia switch. Remember, this car has an inertia switch that can disable the fuel pump, and that will go into this branch that we cannot see here. But for my concern, for my test, all I can test is what I have here is the computer, is that command on pin 80. So, and you can see here too, this is the crash fuel shut-off relay right here, and that is in pin 40. So this is the auxiliary relay box. So this is what we have in here. Let me just think of crash fuel shut off. See this page. Oh, right here. So it looks like this vehicle has two fuel pumps, right? So one high and low. And this is how the actual fuel pump gets connected. So the DD and EE could be here, or X. Let me see X. Where X go? In 30 X in this page. X is actually here. So yeah, do you see what I'm talking about? So we have, it took me a little while to figure it out, or to actually see it. So this branch will provide power through this wire and go to X. X will go to the crash fuel relay shut off. So this will not be active unless the inertia switch is not on, right? So if the inertia switch, let's say, flip or something, this will be never, it will not close, sorry, and it will not allow power to go through. And the computer will know, because if this pin 40 is to receive the same voltage, to let the computer know if the fuel pump is running or not. So that is how that fuel pump runs, and it's working. So the other thing that I can show you, again, this is all diagnostics that I'm trying to do and help Christian to do in the car. But like I said, I'm removing myself as much as I can, because all I can check is what I repair. All right, so I now turn the vehicle off, and we're going to go over to the scanner. I want to go over to the fuel pump. Let me see. We got to go back one more time. Functional tests. See if I can do a fuel pump test. Because in there, I won't have to put you here. And let me get the SUS in the screen. Yeah, so you can see what I'm doing. Actually, probably better to do it here, right? So let me make sure that you can see the test light. It's going to be a little, let me move it here. Got so much wiring. Let me get the microphone out of the way. Yeah, you can see the test light will blink and will flash in there. Let me see if I can see it. EVAP, transmission, output state test. Normally on outputs, all outputs on. Let me see. Yeah, we can see how that went. Normally on outputs, error, low cooling fan, only if equipped. Yeah, well, change. Normally on outputs. Let me see if we can, normally on outputs, error. This is what I like to use, the top down. So weak on a snap-on, you know. Normally on outputs, error. All outputs on. We can see how I did it for a second, but it didn't turn off. And I guarantee you, if I put the top down, it will work. And I need to show that, so because I want to make sure that the fuel pump, even though it's running, because when I run it, I mean, I don't really need to do it. I'm just going overkill because I don't want to have him calling me back for, for things that I'm not really fixing, Like right there is running, but the fuel pump relay is all I can check. Injectors, I'm showing you a real injector on the picoscope capture, which is right there. You can see the full probe. Injectors and coil firing. I don't know what else I can do here, but like I said, I'm spending almost 2 hours testing a computer that I'm not charging a dime, and this is where I should charge, because if it's a problem that I did, well, it is free, but if it's something that you cannot fix in your car, I don't have to keep testing and testing things that I already test, you know what I mean? But sometimes it's a little hard. All right, so this is running good, guys. I don't want to hold you much. I'm going to have to contact Christian and see if he wants to repair that cluster. But realistically, this cluster is not preventing the car from running. I can see it here. We got injector, we got coils. So, Christian, you got another problem in the car. Yeah, the cluster is not showing the mileage. Yeah, I don't know. I never had that cluster before, so I don't know if it was good or not before. You got a broken key plastic, but it's running. I have injectors and coils, so... What can I recommend you? I would recommend you to repair the cluster, but will that correct your problem in the car? No, I don't believe so. All right, guys, I'm going to just leave this in here as a test for a customer that has problems on the car. And this is just as much as I can reach to help somebody, but that's it. All right, I hope that you like the content. If you're here, please don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.